Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the VUCA Insights channel. Today we'll be covering SAM Engineering, a company listed on Bursa Malaysia, but it's actually very much Singapore majority owned. I'll be talking about the business model and what do they do, who are their clients, and what is the future path for them going forward. So I actually covered SAM Engineering in a historical video in 2022, and if you want to know a little bit more about the historical context of it, check out the video on the right. So for those of you new to the channel, my name is John. I was formerly an engineer, now turned full-time investor. I'm also the author of an upcoming book called The Malaysian Multi-Baggers that should be in stores Q1 2026. So who is SAM Engineering and what do they do? SAM Engineering is actually a precision parts manufacturer for two particular niches. The first niche is actually the semiconductor industry and the second niche is actually the aviation industry. Now, what is a precision parts manufacturer? Think of all those tiny components to those very large components that go into a particular machine that manufactures something, and in this case they manufacture semiconductor wafers or semiconductor parts, and the other niche that they focus on is actually aviation. So think of the casing for the jet engine or a certain part within the fuselage of a plane. Now this is where SAM Engineering actually excels. So how do they go about manufacturing these parts? They actually buy an even bigger machine called a CNC, or computer numerical control. Now, don't worry about the jargon. What it actually means is that this machine is so smart that you just punch in a few numbers, you look at the coordinates of where you want this machine to go to actually carve out a part, or to make a hole, or to smoothen a particular piece of metal. This is what a CNC machine actually does. So SAM Engineering can manufacture parts as large as 3.5 meters, and these are usually for the aviation sector, and they can even go down to even millimeter or centimeter kind of parts, and this is more for the semiconductor sector, which requires a little bit more precision and finesse. So as a business for SAM Engineering, what is the unit economics, or how do they make money, and what is the expenses? So you think about where they generate revenue is that they get contracted by someone who is an aircraft parts manufacturer, or they get contracted by someone who is a semiconductor equipment manufacturer, and they said, hey Sam, can you build this particular part for me? So they get revenue from being contracted to manufacture these parts. But for them, as an expense, they have to buy very expensive, very large, sometimes very precise CNC machines, as I explained earlier, and these has to be coupled with highly skilled labor, because you may have a multi-million dollar machine, but if you don't have the skilled technicians or even engineers to actually run and maintain these machines, then these machines are practically worthless. They can't run themselves, right? Then for how do they get these contracts is really they have to qualify themselves. So what do I mean? They will have to manufacture a few parts for their clients to test, and they said, hey, did it meet the tolerance requirement? Is it, was it a little bit off? Is it fitting into the part that I want you to manufacture? So these are what we call the procedures, qualification procedures that SAM will need to fulfill before they can actually become on the vendors list for these clients. And to be on that list, you have to maintain your tolerance, maintain your precision, maintains the quality of your manufacturing for long periods of time, because they will come and audit you and says, hey, the parts that you produce in the last 6 months doesn't seem to meet the tolerance requirement. There's a lot of rejects and all that kind of thing. So the barriers to entry for actually guys like SAM is actually very, very high. There's a lot of guys who do what we call CNC manufacturing, but to be able to be producing large number of parts and with a very high precision rate, that's where you need guys like SAM who have that kind of experience to maintain that standard for their clients. Running a precision manufacturing business is no joke, because you continuously need to actually maintain a high capex, because you have to buy new machines that can manufacture with better tolerances or even more precise requirements, and at the same time you continuously need to upgrade your workforce so that they have the latest skill sets to be able to meet the client's requirements. So margins are actually pretty compressed. We'll cover them in the financials very soon, and right now they're undergoing a little bit of a expansion phase where they're moving a lot of their facilities from Singapore over to this place in Thailand called Bon Bueng in Chonburi. So a lot of depreciation costs, a lot of moving costs, a lot of OPEX costs, and that's why margins are even more depressed during this past 2 to 3 years. So let's look at the numbers between 2022 to 2025. In the financial year end 2022, which is in March 23, they managed to get a revenue of 1.15 billion and a net profit about 52 million. For the trailing 12 months or last 12 months, as of the recording of this video, revenue is at 1.51 billion, sorry, and a net profit of 66 million. They actually hit peak net profit in the financial year end of 23, which is like 22, sorry, which is March 2023, and they managed to eke out a profit about 238 million. So obviously the move is really taking a toll on the net profit margins, but you know, with everything being settled down probably in 26, early 26 or late 26, then my suspicion is that margins will creep up and their net profit will improve even without the growth, so much growth on the revenue or the sales. So what makes SAM Engineering interesting is because they're at the junction of two very interesting industries that have a lot of tailwind. One is actually aviation, the other is actually semiconductor. So you know, the AI playbook has been, you know, repeated over and over again, so I wouldn't actually go in too much into detail but of that. But think of it today, the electronification of our everyday lives require more and more electronic components, regardless of whether AI happens, which is definitely going to happen. But the point I'm trying to make is the electronification of our daily lives gives the semiconductor industry a lot of tailwind. Whether it is in logic, whether it is in data storage or memory, or even AI computing power, I think the semiconductor industry, though cyclical, still have a lot of tailwind from my point of view. The second is actually the aviation industry. Right? COVID really awakened traveling as an experience for a lot of people, especially the rising middle class that we see today. As globalization happens, as you know, travel expenses come down with the burgeoning of more low-cost carriers, I think this has contributed a lot to, you know, planes backlog. I mean, in 2021, 2022, virtually the travel industry was just completely disrupted. But the moment COVID has, you know, died off and now people want or cherish experiences, plane backlogs, order backlogs are in 16,000 and in excess. So whatever airline that wants to order a plane today, you're talking about a 4 to 5 year waiting period for you to get a plane. So if you translate that downwards, trickle it downwards to someone like SAM Engineering, who manufactures parts for the aircraft manufacturers, this actually bodes well with another tailwind. You know, next 4 or 5 years, I don't think they'll run out of orders. I don't think they'll run out of demand. I think where they need to tweak is really find operational efficiency, making sure there's no wastage, making sure they run the plant efficiently, fully utilized. And yes, it's going to be tough. It's been tough for the past 3 years for them. It's going to be tough another 1 year when they really settle down in their Bon Bueng, Chonburi's Thailand manufacturing facility. But from then on, then we will likely see margin expansion, especially net margins expansion. We will likely see free cash flow expansion because now your capex cycle has, you know, you don't need to build a plant every day, so that capex expansion needs will actually come down, and that will flow straight into free cash flow. So I'm looking forward to see SAM Engineering, you know, in 1 year's time and see how do they eke out that margins, eke out that operational efficiency. And, you know, let me know what you think. You know, who else are the guys within these two tailwind industries that will benefit? So if you'd like to see how I analyze other companies, other industries, check out the other videos on this channel, and I'll see you in the next one.